Okay, that feels like a proper end. Like, that's a cliffhanger ending, but that's clearly set up for the next game. Okay. Cool, alright. Credits time. Proper credits time. So, what did I think of this game? I think this game is possibly the best... Would I consider this better than Bloodborne? I think this has a higher ceiling in terms of the voice acting and motion capture quality, just the visual quality to it. You know, the particle effects and just how different areas look. Like, Alfheim looks great, Muspelheim and Niflheim are okay. Midgard looks quite nice in different areas. The fights are really well done and they take place in big set pieces and everything. So yeah, I would consider this to be one of the best games of the PlayStation 4. Easily. Whether it's better than Bloodborne, I don't know. But I'll take some time to think about that. Unlike how he's portrayed in the MCU films, Thor is actually a bit of a cock. That is basically the entire game, isn't it? It's like saying about how Thor and Odin are horrible, and they take sick pleasure in torturing people and, you know, playing twisted games and everything. So the Marvel version is very much oh yeah, he's a nice dude. But even then, in the Thor movies, Odin and Thor have a bit of a butting heads between them. So wasn't he a bit of a cock in the first movie? Who are you referring to? Are you referring to Thor or Odin there, Reaper? Because Thor is like kind of vainglorious and trying to be arrogant, and Odin is recognizing that in Thor and decides to cast him out. So I actually agree with Odin in the first movie. But yeah, no, they're both bits of dicks, really. He's more arrogant, he gets humbled. Yeah, that's true. Thor is not evil per se in actual mythology. He's a very bloodlusted individual when it comes to giants. I don't even think it's necessarily giants. They were talking about Aesir and Vanir, although I guess, is that Odin? Odin gets married to Freya for the Aesir and Vanir to be united, but then Odin takes vengeance against the Vanir anyway, and Thor kind of helps out with that. And Thor is very bloodthirsty when it comes to the giants as well, yeah. It's not too far off. It does focus on Thor's dark side a bit more. Yeah. Well, that's the thing when it comes down to mythology, right? Is a lot of it, if you're not reading or, you know, consuming the sanitized media, watered down versions, a lot of it is really dark. Like the whole thing about gods eating their children and, you know, having sex with animals to birth different gods, and it's like, it's really weird. It's like not great. Waterdeep has to go now. Just want to see a bit of your stream. Have a nice day of your day, Rob, and bye, Ollie, bye, Mia. Thanks for joining, Waterdeep, and thank you all, everyone else who has joined in from the raid from Miss Houndoom. I really do appreciate you all coming in. And yeah, if you haven't seen God of War, you probably left before we got to the end of that, but no, it's been a really good experience playing this game. I've really enjoyed myself. Thor in the mythology has a magical belt named Meginjord that doubles his strength. Really? You don't hear too much about Meginjord, do you? I'm just wondering if I need to turn the volume down a bit. Let's turn it down a little bit, because I'm getting lots of chorus and vocals deep in, so I've turned it down a little bit. Thor is a cheater. Well, it's like saying, you know, the hammer of Mjolnir is a holy... Well, not a holy. It's a weapon of such great strength that no one else can really, you know, cope against it, basically. Like, it is that strong. Thor also has a chariot he uses to fly. It's pulled by goats. Yeah, you don't realize just how much weird stuff there is that all these giants, all the gods have, until you really dig into it, because of course this all spans like hundreds and hundreds of years, and different people, different writers have all had different perspectives and takes on these gods as characters or as you know, figures, fictional, and so on. Yeah. Mjolnir was stolen a few times. One time Thor had to wear a wedding dress to get the hammer back. That seems kind of tame, considering. Like, there are much worse things that people have had to do to reclaim their rightful weapon or armor or anything, and like, wearing a wedding dress doesn't seem to be that bad. Congrats on beating the game. I'm gonna go watch a movie with Bethka. Hope you're well and catch you again soon. No, thank you very much again, Ollie, for, you know, tipping off Miss Houndoom for the raid. Do appreciate that. And yeah, have a good night with Becca. Enjoying the movie as well. So what more about this game then? So I like the combat. It feels really satisfying to play with the Leviathan axe, and it could feel a little bit stale if you didn't get so many different runic attacks. Like, you get to build your character into different ways. Like, if you want to be big, buff Kratos, you can just focus on strength. But you can also do vitality, and you can do runic attacks, which ends up being better for late game stuff because it's just powerful. But you could also focus on perk activations and getting your stuff cooldown a lot quicker. But no, I think build variety is actually really good with this. And then obviously you go into the Blades of Chaos and you can do different movesets there. So I think they struck a good balance between the two movesets and the two weapons here. Norse mythology is quite odd sometimes. Yes, indeed it is. Thor, after getting the hammer back, not only killed the culprit, but also all the other giants who attended his wedding. That sounds like what Thor would do. For being forced to wear a wedding dress, that sounds like what they do. The lack of variety of enemies was a bit of a letdown. I did notice that. You basically fight against armored travelers, you fight against poison revenant witches and dark elves, and you get the big boss versions of trolls and ogres and the soul devourers and soul eaters and so on. But there's not a lot. Like, I think there is a lot more enemy variety in other games, and I feel like this game could have done with a bit more. Like, the number of times that I saw a bestiary entry for an enemy, and it was like, this enemy is like the last enemy, but with fire, or with ice, or, you know, does blinding. It's like, they could have done a bit more, I think, on that. But I guess in terms of if they were ever going to cut corners, enemy variety is probably one of the things that they would do that on. Didn't Thor have to wear the wedding dress instead of his sister or something like that? Because the ones who stole it demanded that they should provide her as a bride. No, the giant wanted Freya as their bride. Okay. But yeah, like, people are very vindictive in mythology. Here's a random fact. On the mural in Jotunheim that was depicting Kratos fighting Balder, the giants gave Kratos the nickname Farbauti. If you translate that word that was under Kratos in this mural, Farbauti is a really fitting nickname or title for Kratos, since the word that Farbauti means cruel striker or the one who deals dangerous blows. This is pretty significant since in Norse mythology, Farbauti is the name of Loki's father. Ah, I did not know that. Like, when it comes to mythology stuff and lineage, I've seen on Imager or Reddit or one of the two, basically there's a big long family tree that has like Odin at the top, and then it branches down into all the different gods further down, and there's some like weird like marriage connections and which god had how many children and so on. So yeah, I did not know about that. That's nice. That's a nice way to tie it in. Strange that they didn't mention that outright in the game, though, because I think that would have been something they could have used to sort of reinforce the thing of Loki is Atreus, Atreus is Loki, and Kratos is his dad. But then Kratos is the son of Zeus as well, so where does Farbauti come into lineage there? It's kind of weird. Ymir should be at the top. Yes. Okay. Yeah, you're right, actually. It's Ymir's breath that is the thing that breathes all life, isn't it? All life came from him, whether directly or indirectly. No, I think you're right. I should probably dig out that image if I can find it. But yeah, like, let's see. Norse mythology family tree. See if we can find it. But yeah, it's one I've seen a few times because it's all on. They have representations of animals. Yes, here we go. The Norse god family tree. It's a Pinterest thing that I found it on. Let's see if we can't open a new tab. There we go. Alright, and then zoom in. So yeah, Ymir is at the top. Yes, that is correct. But they all have different animals represented with them. But some of them are just like normal humans as well. So a mostly accurate Norse god family tree is the one that you want to search for if you would like to find it yourself. Ymir's body also formed the cosmos, and Thor's mum is the earth. So what's the earth in Norse mythology? It's not Gaia, that's silly. That's something else, isn't it? Let's see. I haven't zoomed in enough, actually. That's probably why. Let's do that. Okay. So the family tree goes Ymir, and then a bunch of giants. Yeah, that does make sense. Loki is Fabauti, and then Loki and a horse have Sleipnir. Jormungandr, Fenrir, Hel. Yep, those are all related there. Thor's mum is Jord. Yes. I'm pretty sure it's Jord, not Heimdall. Yeah, no, it's really interesting seeing how all these different gods play into each other in their family trees and everything. To be more precise, Thor's mum is a giantess who personified the earth. Well, yeah. Gods or giants, they're kind of... There's not really much difference between the two, is there? Like, they're both giants. They're both superhuman, super powerful people. Whether it's a giant or a god, there's not really a big distinction between the two. Jord or Fjorgyn. Thor's mum had a few different names. The one that I can see on this family tree is Jord. J-O-R-D. But it goes into the other ones like you've got Frigg, you've got Idun, you've got Skadi, Sif, Freya, Magni, Modi, Thrud, Ulla, Tyr, Mimir, Orseti. Like, yeah, and then that's not even listing, well, there's probably like 3 dozen gods on this, but that's missing out a whole bunch. Like, a bunch of giants is one, so, you know, yeah. No, mythology is cool, and I'm glad we are moving away from Greek stuff, because Greek stuff is cool. Like, we just had Hades come out, and that's a really cool take on Greek mythology there, with Zagreus, Hades, Megara, Nyx, Thanatos. You know, it is cool to see interesting interpretations of mythology. It's not so interesting to see like the same kind of, oh, Assassin's Creed Odyssey did Egyptian mythology. It's like, yeah, okay. Assassin's Creed did Greek mythology with Odyssey, and it's like, yeah, alright. But this is a cool interpretation of Norse mythology. I really like it. Frigg and Freya are generally accepted to be the same person. Only a few scholars separate the two. Well, in this list here, I've got it as Frigg is the daughter of Fjorgyn, while Freya is the daughter of Njord and Skadi, I believe. So, I wonder why there's a distinction there then. I also like how Buri, B-U-R-I, was licked into being by primeval super cow, or Dumbla. Some of these stories are just like insanely silly, but yeah. I would read American Gods. So, I have seen American Gods be advertised. I think it's actually a TV series as well. Is it an Amazon Prime original TV show? Because I think Ian McShane is one of the main characters in it. And I've always been interested in it because it's a really visually impressive TV show, at least going by adverts. I've got no idea about like the actual storyline and stuff like that, but yeah, no, I would like, I think I would like American Gods. It's a Starz original, but shown on Prime. Okay, I guess Amazon might have the mainstream rights to distributing that then. Okay, that's cool. A few mythology scholars often make two separate entities the same being over time. An example of this is Kronos and Chronos from Greek mythology. Okay, so Kronos with CH and Kronos without the H seem to be the same person when scholars do them. So which one is it that eats his son then? Is that Kronos with an H, or is it a different version? It's actually Saturn. No. I'm gonna Google that actually. Eating his children. Cronus is CR. No H there. Yeah, it's really... Oh, Saturn devouring his son. That's it. That's the really famous painting, isn't it? It's horrifying, but it is like... It kind of sticks in your head just how awful it is. In fact, I might even get it... No, actually, I probably won't get it up on stream because that's it's a little bit disturbing to see. American Gods is based on Neil Gaiman's book, and many of his works has featured Norse mythology and other gods. Cool. Yeah, mythology is fun to write about. I'm not surprised about that. A Kronos with an H comes with the Orphic interpretation of Greek mythology. He's a primordial being who personifies time. Yeah, so hence why Kronos Latin means time and everything there. Yeah. Cool. No, like I said, this is interesting. Yeah, it's hard to talk about the quality of this game, God of War 2018 on PlayStation 4, without referring to just mythology in general, because a lot of what this game's strength comes from the setting, and you've got Mimir's tales to you as well. He talks to you and explains a lot of stories there, so that helps you feel grounded in the world. And also it's just interesting to listen to, because it's like, oh, that's quite fun. Yes, Chrono Trigger as well. Yeah, Chrono Trigger from Kronos, all about time travel. Yeah, no, it's good, it's good. Over time, the idea of Kronos, the primordial being, was dissolved into the Titan Kronos, without an H, making the Titan become the Lord of Time. I suppose primordial beings can be a bit hard to visualize if they're not, like, given a humanoid shape or form or something. Fates have been in many of Square's games. Well, I don't know how many of them are in, like, the Final Fantasies, but I know there's Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross. There's probably stuff in, like, Secret of Mana, Collection of Mana, Trial of Mana, because that's all related to the tree Yggdrasil. There's quite a few games. Which company makes it? The people that make Tactics Ogre, Let Us Cling Together, Riviera, The Promised Land. There's a specific company that does a lot of mythology based like on stuff like that, and they have a lot of things to do with that kind of mythology as well. Chrono Trigger was a joke after seeing the Kronos name, by the way. No, people have different ties to different mythologies. Like, I remember reading horrible history books. So there's a series of books called Horrible Histories and Horrible Science as well. And you can get different time periods like Romans and Greeks and Egyptians and all sorts of different things there, and you actually learn a lot about mythology through them. Speaking of Mimir, the novel for this game has an audiobook version where Mimir is the narrator. Really? Huh. That's a cool way to tie it together then. I didn't realize there was a novel of the game, to be honest. I don't know how that would work. I assume you just go through the main story beats. The Fates have featured in Chrono Cross, and they've been summons and bosses in a few Final Fantasy games. Cool. Yeah, I haven't played a lot of Final Fantasy games where they would be featured. It's been a while since I played a Final Fantasy game in general, really. So yeah. So other stuff about this game. Where would this game be weak? I don't know, honestly. The fact that this game is open world is really nice because you get the chance to explore it to your heart's content, but you can also ignore it as much as you want. Like, if you just want to go straight and do the story stuff, that'd be great. You don't have to worry about, like, wasting your own time there. It does feel like Don't know what I'm about to say. Nah, it's gone from my head. There is a novel for God of War 1 and one for God of War 2 as well. I'm currently playing 4 and they are a boss. Oh. So Final Fantasy 4, there's Kronos as a boss, I guess. There's like Romancing Saga or Mercenary Saga 1 or 2. Basically, there's loads of JRPGs that feature these types of bosses because mythology is cool to have bosses around. And some Final Fantasy names are based on different mythologies. Yeah. I think they just like pick and choose whatever they want based on what sounds cool and what's like, ooh, that's really interesting, or ooh, you know, I would like to base a boss around this person. Like, I think it comes into Bravely Default in some of them, like the optional endgame super bosses. I think have some ties to that as well. Takes tons from mythologies, yeah. Yeah. So for this game, I do still think Bloodborne is the best game on PlayStation 4. But that is not to say that this is, like, inferior to it. I just think that, personally, I prefer playing Bloodborne. I can see myself replaying Bloodborne more than I can see myself replaying this game because, well, I've basically done almost everything on the first try. We can do New Game Plus, but I wouldn't really see a reason to. I mean, it's a linear game, and they do New Game Plus for most of their linear games. Like, you can do it in Spider-Man, you can do it in Last of Us, you can do it in Days Gone, most likely. Probably Ghost of Tsushima. And it's a way of making you be able to spend more time with the game, make you feel really powerful, just do some power scaling as well. But for me, as a one-and-done player, I think this will probably be it. There needs to be more Norse mythology movies. We've got enough Greek mythology. And there are exclusive armor sets in New Game Plus. Oh, I didn't know that. Huh. So what armor sets are there in New Game Plus? Like, the Ivaldi set and the Valkyrie set are basically the best ones in the game because they're both kind of like level 7 to level 8. But what new things would there be? Would there be a Thor armor set or an Odin armor set or something? I don't even know what like that would look like, honestly. And New Game Plus has been added to both Ghost of Tsushima and Days Gone. Yeah. I think it's kind of one of those things where because Sony don't make games that are procedurally generated or are roguelikes where you can, you know, spend an hour with it and then keep playing it for hundreds and hundreds of hours, they're like, well, we've had someone buy our game. We need to give them a justification for playing this game for even longer than they would do normally. Why don't we put New Game Plus in? But sometimes games don't need a New Game Plus. You can just have a single straight playthrough and be happy with it. Oh, the New Game Plus armor sets are Zeus armor, Ares armor, and a few others. So there'd be the Greek related stuff, like Ares, Artemis maybe, Athena perhaps. Well, I guess it depends on, you know, characters you're playing as, but okay, the credits are going into the financial sector now, so I think we can wrap up the credits there.